There's a new study that links bad migraines to worsening climate change.
We're just talking about this. So many people know people with bad migraines. So we brought in our medical expert, Dr. Payal Kohli, to help us understand the findings of this study. I mean, there are so many things connected. Tom was just talking about caffeine, things like this. But now this study is talking about what? Migraines and climate change.
Yeah, and migraines in general are getting worse. So 12% of us suffer. Women are 3 times as likely. Unfortunately, I'm one of those women. I have horrible migraines, and they're the worst. And I've noticed that they're getting more frequent. They're more intense when they come on, and that's what the study has said, that in fact the intensity of the migraines, how much disability they cause, has nearly doubled for most Americans.
So worse for, like, you've noticed difference in yours.
I have, and they're thinking one of the main explanations is climate change. So a lot of the changes in barometric pressure, in the moisture, all of that can trigger our migraines. So migraines are a very complex phenomenon.
The migraine sufferers I know talk about the lack of ways for treating it. I think the most famous migraine sufferer in Denver was Terrell Davis. Back when he was running the ball for the Broncos, he actually was unable to play at times due to migraines, and people wonder, can't you just make a pill for migraines? You're a doctor. I mean, you see all the research. Migraines are pretty elusive.
They are. We don't understand what causes them. It's sort of this complex interplay of your genetics. So genetic predisposition, women, like I said, so hormones we know play a huge role because they come around your menstrual cycle. They can get better or worse with menopause. And then also environmental factors. So if we're drinking alcohol, if we're having caffeine, if we're not getting enough sleep, if we're getting too stressed, there's even some evidence that allergic people have more migraines. So if you have a lot of histamine and you have a lot of IgE, which is the antibody that causes allergies, you can have atopic migraines, almost like an allergic reaction.
If they're getting worse, and if climate change is getting worse and making them worse, how far away are we from actually understanding them to the point where we can treat them better than we are now?
You know, I think we have some treatments, Tom. Some of these are more effective than others. So some people just do plain old painkillers, right? Because it affects the trigeminal nerve, which is the pain nerve of our face. And so some people, they treat the target, which is the nerve itself. Some people go upstream and treat the chemicals that are stimulating the nerve, like the serotonin. So there are medicines like Nurtec and others that you can take as soon as you feel the onset of a migraine, even some that can suppress migraines. But the problem is really, I think, much more complex. We're not understanding why people get them, so we're not understanding why they're getting them worse. Now, there's some theories that people also have more insight into their migraines, and that's the funny thing about neurological symptoms. If you know more about it, you're more likely to feel it.
Like a psychosomatic effect.
Exactly.
Like you make it worse by thinking about it.
By knowing that, oh my gosh, my migraine is coming, so you've actually amplified the pain effects of the migraine. It's just like pain sensation. You can sort of talk your brain into feeling more or less pain.
Well, I would think when you're stressed or you didn't get enough sleep, you're like, oh my gosh, I'm going to get a migraine. What about kids? We hear about children getting migraines.
Yes, I mean, and this is also new and elusive findings because we talk about hormones influencing migraines, but we know that other things can. So elementary school kids, as young as elementary school kids, can have their migraines. So if you have children that are complaining of headaches or anything like that, make sure you talk to the pediatrician. Usually it happens in adolescence or later. But over the course of our life, our migraine history can really evolve. And some people's migraine patterns can change from having episodic migraines to having more recurrent ones, or vice versa.
If a child describes to you having a headache, how do they determine
how do they know
that it's a
migraine?
migraine and not a headache, or not something else is going on?
Yeah, so children are very poor at understanding their symptoms and the insight, especially the neurologic symptoms. And with migraines, we know, depending on what part of the brain is affected, you can have visual symptoms, auditory symptoms, nausea, vomiting, pain, of course. So probing your child for any other associated symptoms with a headache might help to determine whether it might be a migraine.
I noticed you seemed very passionate when you mentioned stress and no sleep. You seem like, for some reason, that seemed personal right there.
It's personal.
Well, enjoy the weekend.
Don't forget the coffee and the alcohol.
Yeah. Oh, gosh. Dr. Kohli, it's a weekend. Leave us alone. Okay.
Wishing you a weekend without migraines. You can find much more with Dr. Kohli at 9news.com/Dr. Kohli.